There are stories that echo through time, and there are stories that split time in two. Stories that don't just sit in history, they rewrite destinies, shake kingdoms, and call heaven to attention. This is the story of love engraved in blood. The story of a savior who walked into pain with his eyes wide open. The story of the Passion of Christ. Before the sun rose over Jerusalem, there was a heaviness in the spirit realm. Angels watched, demons trembled. Creation itself could feel the shift. The Lamb was moving toward the altar. Jesus walked quietly with his disciples, his face calm, yet carrying something eternal. You could tell he knew what the next hours would demand. He knew humanity would fail him, that friends would flee, that soldiers would mock, that crowds he healed would scream for his blood. But still, he kept walking, because love doesn't turn around. In the garden, the air felt thick, like the whole world was holding its breath. Gethsemane wasn't just a place, it was the battlefield where his will met the Father's will, and surrender became victory. Jesus fell to his knees, the Savior of the world, trembling under the weight of what was to come. He prayed with groans too deep for words, his sweat turned to blood, a sign that every ounce of strength in him was being poured out. Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will, but yours. Those words weren't weakness, they were warfare. They were the sound of heaven's door opening and hell's gate shaking. And then came footsteps, torchlights, voices whispering, the sound of betrayal. Judas stepped forward. A kiss, the softest act used to unleash the hardest suffering. Jesus did not flinch. He let himself be taken. No resistance, no fear, no hesitation, because surrender was part of the plan. Dragged through the night, pushed, slapped, shoved like a criminal, the one who held the stars in place was treated like the dirt beneath men's feet. At Caiaphas' house, they questioned him, but none of them sought truth. They sought reason to kill him. False witnesses stumbled through their lies, contradicting one another, and still he stayed silent. Silence. Not because he lacked words, but because he embodied the word. When they spat on him, when they hit him, when they blindfolded him and said, "Prophesy," he took it, every insult, every blow, not because they were strong, but because he was strong enough not to retaliate. Oh, but when the rooster crowed in the courtyard, Peter froze. His heart cracked. He locked eyes with Jesus, eyes full of pain, yet not accusation, only love. And love cuts deeper than judgment. By morning, he was taken to Pilate. The crowd gathered, the noise escalated. Pilate looked at Jesus, and something in him knew, there is no fault in this man. But politics can choke conscience, fear can silence justice. So he sent Jesus to Herod, and Herod treated him like entertainment, mocked him, ridiculed him. But Jesus did not perform. He wasn't there for applause. He was there for atonement. Back to Pilate, he was sent like a pawn bounced between kings. Pilate tried one more time. Whom do you want? Jesus or Barabbas? Barabbas, a rebel, a murderer, a disruptor of peace. Yet the crowd roared, "Give us Barabbas, crucify Jesus." The same voices that once cried, "Hosanna," now cried, "Crucify him." Because people can change, but God's love does not. Pilate washed his hands, but not his conscience, and the soldiers led Jesus away. What followed was brutality wrapped in darkness. They tied him to a post. The whip, woven with bone and metal, cracked through the air and tore through his flesh. Each lash singing the song of our redemption, each strike writing a new covenant in blood. 39 lashes, not random, not meaningless, each one carrying prophecy. By his stripes, we are healed. They placed a robe over his shredded back, mocking him as king, and pressed a crown of thorns into his scalp. Blood ran down his face like rivers of mercy. But heaven saw a different image, not mockery, but coronation. The king was taking his throne through suffering. They gave him the cross, not just wood, but the weight of humanity's history. Every sin, every failure, every betrayal, every moment you said, "I'm fine," when you were breaking, he carried all of it. The road to Golgotha was long, and his strength was fading. He stumbled. He fell. The crowd watched, some with hatred, some with horror, some with silent confusion. Simon of Cyrene was pulled from the crowd, forced to help him carry the cross. He didn't volunteer, but one moment with the weight of Christ changed his destiny forever. At the hill, they stretched out his arms, arms that healed the sick, raised the dead, washed the feet of his disciples. They pierced his hands, they pierced his feet. Pain pulsed through every nerve, but he endured it, because love always endures. The cross was lifted. He hung suspended between heaven and earth, the bridge between God and man. The crowd jeered, the soldiers gambled, the priests smirked. But one thief beside him whispered, "Lord, remember me." And Jesus, even in agony, still opened the door of paradise. "Today, you will be with me in glory." Hours passed. The sky darkened unnaturally, as though the sun itself refused to shine on such violence. Thunder rolled, the ground trembled. Creation was grieving. Jesus looked at his mother, his eyes soft, filled with a depth only heaven understands, and entrusted her to John. He wasn't just saving the world, he was still caring for home. He cried, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Not because the Father abandoned him, but because he stepped into the full weight of our separation so we would never be separated again. Then he said the word that shook eternity. It is finished. Not whispered, declared. A victory cry disguised as a dying breath. He bowed his head, and the veil in the temple tore from top to bottom. What humanity could not reach, God tore open with his own hands. The barrier was gone, access restored, grace released. The earth shook violently. Tombs opened. Even death knew this was no ordinary man. They laid him in a tomb, a heavy stone sealing the entrance. The world thought it was over. Hell thought it had won. But heaven had one more chapter. On the third day, the stone rolled away, not so Jesus could come out, but so the world could look in and see that the grave was empty. He rose, not weak, not wounded, but victorious, scarred, yet sovereign, the lion who conquered death, the lamb who redeemed the world. And now every breath we take, every mercy we receive, every moment we feel a tug of grace, it all traces back to that hill, that cross, that man who loved without limits. This is the passion of Christ, the story that never fades, the love that never runs dry, the sacrifice that shook the universe and still whispers your name. And today, if you hear his voice, don't turn away. He did all of this for you. If this story touched you, share it. Let his love travel through you. Subscribe to stay connected. And may the grace of the one who bled for you rest upon your heart today and always.